Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be talking about Prot Warrior and how to play a Prot Warrior in Season 3. Alright, so all in all, not a whole lot has changed. I think the biggest changes come from what our tier set offers us. I know that the hero talents are very interchangeable right now, depending on what type of content you're doing. But all in all, it's a very simple tank to play. It's a very easy tank to play. And it's super easy to understand, so let's go ahead and jump into it. But we're going to talk about stats first, okay? So as you can see, this is the gear that I'm running right now. I'm not super overly geared right now. I'm still trying to find a new belt. I'm still trying to get stuff upgraded. But before I get into stats, the big two things that I highly recommend that you do, okay? Craft your sword and shield. Get those to 720 as soon as you can. So essentially, the reason why I say this is because you can set up these stats. They may not give you the best stats, but you can guarantee yourself that you are getting the most benefit from your weapon and from your shield, and you can max out their item level, which just serves to help us that much more. All right. If you are running a pure Mythic Plus, I highly recommend you run these two trinkets. So the pacemaker is just amazing for us because of how many procs we get and how much we benefit from our crit. And then having the sack brood is just it's a strength boost, and we want as much strength as we can get. So I think if you are going to run a pure Mythic Plus, these are definitely going to be the best two trinkets for you. I think the only thing that changes in raid is you want the trinket that drops off of the soul binders. It's definitely going to be a better option for us. So the soul hunters drop the brand of CkEArbixk for us. All right, it's going to be a crit boost, and it's also going to give us an absorb and a damage, and it just does so much. So if you're a running raid, I highly recommend that you farm this out. Highly recommend that you go and try and get your hands on this trinket. It is just going to be that much better for you in the long run. All right. So the other thing that I'm going to recommend is make sure you have your Rishi wraps. All right. This is just insane for us because the absorb, the benefit that we get, and if you compare it with the boots from the raid, it gets just that much better, and it does so much to help us out. Max it out. Definitely run with that. All right. So as far as our stats go, we are going to be trying to stack crit and haste. And then after crit and haste, then we'll chase after mastery and versatility. Versatility is still going to be our weakest stat out of all. It does not do a whole lot for us. It doesn't really benefit us nearly as much. Mastery is, again, it's just falling slightly behind haste, but not by enough that you want to just avoid mastery altogether. Some of our tier pieces have mastery on them, and that's, we're balancing it, and it's working. All right. Then haste and crit. So the reason why we want haste and crit, so we want crit because that is massive damage for our procs. This helps us with threat generation, it helps us maintain our damage, and it helps us just do very, very well overall. Because the more damage, the more threat, and the better we're going to do. You want haste because haste is going to speed up your ability to cast spells on on repeat. So you're going to be able to cast more spells, and we need that because especially when you start getting into these higher end keys, you need to be able to maintain 100% uptime on ignore pain. You need 100% uptime on shield block. You need to be able to get your attacks out as fast as you can, and just doing that is going to do so much to help you hold threat, maintain your defensives, and do more faster. And that is what we want to be doing as a warrior, is we want to do more faster. Okay. So with that being said, let's get into defensives. All right, so our defensive rotation this season is actually very, very simple. On your precast is pretty much going to be either shield wall, shield block, or ignore pain. If you already have stacks of ignore pain, you're good. Just make sure that you refresh it. I recommend getting a Weeko or an add-on that shows you where your ignore pain is at, so that you can maintain 100% uptime on that at capacity, and you know when you need to refresh it. All right. If you're say you're at the start of a dungeon, you're making your first pull, you're definitely going to want to use shield wall. I think that is going to help you gather everything up. And if you start to notice yourself falling off, or you're taking more damage than you realized you would because you overpulled, or they're just hitting you a little bit harder, then you can go ahead and pop your last stand. I think that these are the two that you need at the beginning of a dungeon. And then as soon as you get set, you definitely want to go ahead and pop your avatar, and you want to pop your demoralizing shout. These are rage gainers for us, and they are also going to decrease damage and increase our damage output and survivability. Um, in all, the defensives that we have are very, very good. They're very well tuned right now. They're doing very, very well. It's just making sure you press them in the right order. All right. So in general, you should have 100% uptime on shield block and ignore pain. If you are taking more damage than you realized, shield wall or last stand. And then as soon as you are set in your pull, you want to use your avatar, demoralizing shout, and shield wall almost on cooldown for as much uptime as you can get. It doesn't have to perfectly play out that way. The way that I personally do it is I use shield wall, demoralizing shout, and avatar as they come up. So avatar has the longest cooldown. So every 1.5 minutes or minute and a half, however you want to look at it, I am avatar, demoralizing shout, and shield wall every 1.5 minutes. All right. And it does play out to where you can maintain that uptime and you can maintain all of that very, very easily. And you are also generating enough rage that you can benefit from your shield block and ignore pain at 100% uptime and 100% efficiency. All right. So next up, let's get into what does the opener look like and the rotation look like for us. All right. So I'm not going to talk about the defensives here. That's kind of something you really have to figure out for yourself. As long as you're maintaining your uptime on shield wall and ignore pain, or shield block and ignore pain, then you're good. The rest that you can kind of figure out what works for you, and if it's a situational thing or if it's an on cooldown thing, or how you wanna play that. Everybody's gonna do their defensive rotation slightly different with warrior, and it's not often that you do it wrong. Okay, so our initial opener, all right, the one thing I'm going to say is if you use heroic leap, then as soon as you get in and you get set, you need a disrupting shout. You're losing in interrupts, but you're guaranteeing that you can get into damage with everybody attacking you, and it gives your group time to go through their burst, and it's okay. You're going to be fine. You're not going to lose aggro. And then if you lose a onesie twosie aggro, you have your taunt. All right. But in general, for the groups that are close together and they are able to just make a pull, you're either going to shield charge unless it's on cooldown, then you're just going to charge in. This gives us rage generation, this gets us ahead of the group, and this gets us to a point where we can start doing everything as we're able to do it. All right, so on your pull, as you charge in, you're going to thunderclap, you're going to shield slam, and you're going to revenge. That is our opener. That is the priority attacks. All right. You do have to mix in your defensive. So a lot of times what I do is I run in, I thunderclap, I shield slam, I shield block, and then I do my revenge. Then I start building rage based off of the situation and the circumstances. So you're going to get good rage generation from Thunderous Roar, from Thunderclap, and from Shield Slam, and if Avatar and Demoralizing Shout are both up on the pull, then you're going to be able to kind of jump in and just start generating rage. You can use the Ravager talent. Ravager is going to give you really good rage generation to get your Ignore Pain off the ground and through, and still allow you to maintain good damage. All right, so just kind of go ahead here. All right, so got this group right here. We'll charge in. So I'm going to shield charge. I'm going to thunderclap. I'm going to shield slam, and I'm going to revenge, and then I would go into whatever defensive I was going to do. All right, after you get in, all right, so that's your opener. So your primary attack. So like I'm here, I'm doing my damage. I'm gonna just pretty much just go down the line. And now that I'm here, I'm burning my rage on my ignore pain to cap it out. And then I'm doing things as they proc or as they come off of cooldown. So shield. So you want your thunderclap to be on cooldown 100% of the time. You want to maintain your ignore pain. Thunderclap should never it should never not be on cooldown unless it's on a GCD, right? And so you're always going to get your proc. See how I'm able to maintain this. Once you start capping on rage, all right, well, my ignore pain is all the way up. I'm good. Just start using your revenge. Get that good AoE thunderclap as it comes up. Shield slam, thunderclap. All right, revenge, revenge. Boost my ignore pain. Revenge, revenge. All right, shield slam proc. Thunderclap, right? And then I'm going right back into burning rage. So you're burning your rage off by ignore pain and revenge. Those are your two primary sources. You want to keep yourself above probably like 35 rage as often as you can, unless you hit a point where you don't have a choice. The reason for that is that 35 rage guarantees you shield block, and it guarantees that you can do something else if you need to. All right, especially when you're chaining pulls. I don't recommend pulling a second mob unless you have 35 rage, and then jump in, do what you need to do, get your opener. You've got a shield block for that new incoming damage. You're able to do things of that nature. So that's pretty much what our rotation is going to look like. Like I said, it's a very simple tank, very simple rotation. Things are very, very easy for us. A lot of different spells are going to go based off of situation. Ravager, I highly recommend you have 3 to 5 targets if you're going to use it, or use it to just generate rage. Thunderclap, always have it on cooldown. Shield Slam, in reality, unless you're in single target, Shield Slam can be used as a proc, not anything else. And then your Thunderous Roar, always have that on cooldown. And that's it. That's all we're really looking at. The other thing I will say is, yes, it is a DPS loss, and yes, you can change this based off the key level and the dungeon you're doing, but I recommend defensive stance over battle stance. All right, so you do get a little bit of crit bonus, and you have you've got benefits to both, but we can talent into magic reduction, and we can do a lot to just kind of help the healer out if you're running defensive stance. If you go somewhere like Floodgate, you could probably bounce between the two based off of the pull, based off of what you're doing, and things of that nature. But I think that honestly, I think Floodgate's probably one of the only ones that we can really afford to not use defensive stance with the way that the cooldowns, or with the way that the magic debuff works. All right. As far as talents go, we are going to primarily you want to run Mountain Thane just because you are going to get better DPS from it. There are some instances where you're going to run Colossus, but majority of the time we are running Mountain Thane. Colossus is going to be good if you need to just do a lot of burst damage all at one time. Outside of that, Mountain Thane is really where it's going to be at. All right. So these are the talents that I'm using. This is talent build I'm running. I have been running 10 keys. I have been running low keys, high keys, everything. And these talents are actually working really well. This rotation works really well. A lot of times when the key does end up failing, what it stems from is somebody made a mistake somewhere, and things like that are going to happen. Like, you cannot do anything about that, and it's fine. But all in all, running this talent build is definitely going to help you. It is going to make things just slightly better for you, and it's going to give you better magic damage for places like Arcara and Dawnbreaker and Ecodome, where a lot of what you're dealing with is people are casting, and that's where 90% of your damage is coming from. We do have Spell Reflection, but you cannot have 100% uptime on Spell Reflection. Something's going to get past, an interrupt is going to get missed, a CC is not going to go off. It's gonna happen, especially with these high interrupt dungeons. Halls of Atonement is a great example of that. Siphon Life, you're not gonna hit every Siphon Life cast with Spell Reflection. It's not gonna work. All right, and Spell Reflection only lasts for 5 seconds, so it's not it's not super crazy, and you have to time it very, very well. All right. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, if you notice that I forgot to talk about something, if you want me to go in more detail on something, by all means, let me know in the comments. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe to the page, and let me know what class you guys want to see next, and I will get that video going for you. All right. Hope you guys have a good one. See you later.